Well folks, this is going to be day 2 of the off-road tractor build, and yesterday I didn't really get into much detail in the video from the videos that you guys just saw. I've been building this with a friend and we're kind of itching to get it on the road and drive it around and on the trails and stuff more than anything, so it's not my typical getting into detail build video, but I figured before I start today I'd go over some stuff with you guys. So to start off with, for the rear transmission pulley, I wanted to get these measurements. John Deere originally had an 8-inch pulley, so it was a pretty good size, and I stepped that down to a 3.5 inch, and I'm measuring the outside diameter here on the edges. And the front pulley from the original Sears, this one is a 4.25 inch pulley, so that gives it a pretty high ratio to the back when you wind this engine up tight. So hopefully that'll work out alright. I also have to finish making the brackets to hold the transmission this morning also, for at least one of those 2 holes, and then I can weld it to the side to keep everything from flexing. Got to finish welding these back brackets up, which I finished up last night. As for this engine, still has to get mounted down. I just have it C-clamp at the moment. Ended up having to make a points cover box for it yesterday because it was missing one when I got it, so that came out pretty well. I just got to put some RTV on it to seal it. There's no gasket. And obviously enough, still have to finish my gas tank, throttle cable, and all that stuff, air cleaner and whatnot. So that'll get done once this thing's driving and I know it's going to work. I also have to put some set screws in these hubs because John Deere, these Peerless John Deere transmissions had splined axles. I don't think you can see them. So they're pretty well worn out from having all that rust in there when I pulled them out. And they got a lot of play in them, so I'm going to just take a 7/16 bolt and drill a hole, thread it, tap it, and I'll put a really big set screw in there to keep everything held down tight. And this axle housing that I replaced, I wanted to show you also, this is the one that came off of it. So the transmission, when I got this, I was told that the guy dropped it off the back of his truck and snapped the axle housing, which he really did a good job at. So there was really no saving it because there wouldn't have been much integrity once I welded that back together. So that's why I found that one on eBay, 25 bucks, free shipping, you can't beat it. So that worked out pretty good. And this morning I'm going to be working on getting the seat on here, and then after the seat's on I'll get the good position for the clutch pedal and everything, and I'll work on getting the belt tensioner on here, and then maybe we could take it for a test spin and see how it does. But aside from that, folks, I might as well get started on this again and see if we can get all the seat stuff together and get that on. Alright, I got the seat mount all welded up, and it's got the springs on it, and it flips up and everything, which worked out pretty good. So that's all on there, said and done. And also, if you haven't noticed, some of these welds look kind of crappy, is the rod that I'm running is really old rod, and I'm just trying to burn it up while we can. And sometimes it'll run cold and it won't really flow into the metal that well, but occasionally you do get a couple of good welds. But given that it's nothing special, might as well use it up. A couple of days ago I ended up getting the clutch work all finished up on here. I had to rerun the belt twice. Once I had the pulley down here, which I think I put in the video, and I had the same pulley here, and took it for a test drive, 2 test drives so far. The first one didn't go very well. When I clutched, the belt didn't have enough slack to stop spinning, so it was kind of tough to shift and whatnot. And it was also falling off of this idler. Whenever you clutched it, it would always flop around, so I ended up putting a small belt keeper on it. And the other thing about this belt keeper is when you clutch, it just pinches the belt a little bit like that, so that way it just holds enough tension on it for it to slip on the front pulley, and then you're able to clutch and do whatever. And it also holds it in line, obviously enough, and keeps it from falling off of that one idler there. So that worked out good. Pedal and everything is on here. I got my linkage with an adjustable end on it, so different size belts and whatnot. I'm probably going to be putting a heavier spring on here because this one I don't think is going to be heavy enough in the long run, and also drilling a hole for it in the side because it's just clipped on there for now. So the belt size I did have to change once. I also rigged up a gas tank, which I'm going to be keeping this gas tank on here with the wooden blocks because it's an odd fit in here. It's a Briggs tank. I don't have any wheel horse ones left, and I'm going to be making some straps for it. My throttle cable I just hooked one up for now. I want to get a different one that's not all over the place like this. And I'm also going to be running this carburetor because the original one turned out to have some problems. So, but it is running a lot better than what it was. It doesn't do too bad. It's definitely not as fast as my Craftsman racing tractor I used to have, but it still moves right along. I also drilled set screws in the hubs this past week too. I just used 3/8/16 bolts. And these spline hubs are so worn out, I'm going to have to take and put another set screw here to really pull everything tight. Because just pulling from the top, it still wants to move like this. So, got to put more set screws in there. Got to finish welding up the bracket, and then hopefully today I can get to the running boards, which would be nice because the foot pegs are not real comfortable to keep your feet on and stuff. So, we'll see how far we can get today, and I'll check back with you guys later. Now, for our running boards, I came up with these brackets here. As you can see, got a piece of angle iron, a couple holes drilled in it. Another piece of angle iron welded to it. So that'll bolt to the side of the frame where the dash comes down, and then we've got those holes there that'll line up that I can bolt through. And that'll mount up right there. So that'll work out pretty good, and then I can do the same thing on the other side to mount the other running board. Well folks, as you can see, the running boards are all said and done. Got those mounted up, and I welded up the brackets for them. So those are all mounted on there real nice, good and sturdy. The other side here, I still have yet to put a belt guard on it, so that's going to be coming soon. And until then, I just put one bolt in this side in case I have to shift anything in and out to get the belt guard to fit. And the belt's starting to slacken up now that I'm using it, so I didn't put my heavier spring on like I was planning to, and I'm going to wait because I might have to move this pulley up a little bit to take up some of the slack because I didn't make this arm big enough. But that's not too big of a deal. Gas tank still has to get some straps on it, and I still want to figure out a bit better of a throttle cable for this than the side, but I think for now I'll just keep this one on here for the time being. I also made up a little choke cable here, which works out pretty slick for the choke, and that and an air cleaner too, which would help a little bit. So there you have it. This is the off-road tractor. It was a quick build, only took a week. I started it last Saturday, I think, so I'm pretty happy with it. And then hopefully towards the springtime and summer, when some of the snow melts off this hill, I can start doing some trail videos with it. We'll have to see. I got some really aggressive ag tires that are only about this wide that I can throw on it with some really good sized tread for some grip. So hopefully I can get some videos of that. But anyways folks, there you have it. That's the build of the off-road tractor.